Is mercifully coming to an end for your LA Clippers as they will finish their summer 3-2 in Vegas. Welcome into Clippers Talk. I'm Adam Moslin. Still a minute 12 left in game 5 for the Clippers. Game I wasn't even aware of on, what was it, Thursday night? I thought that was going to be the final game, and their loss to the Denver Nuggets. They're currently down 103-78 to the Memphis Grizzlies, just under a minute left here. This was not a great performance by the Clippers. There's reasons for that. I'll get into it all, but it starts with this. Not only were they without Yannick Conan Niederhauser, this is now 105-78. They didn't have Xavier Simpson. And if you didn't know why Xavier Simpson was there at the age of 28, a guy who was playing his college ball at Michigan in 2016, it's to keep things organized on the offensive end. Tonight, Kobe Sanders got the start and a chance to run point, and it did not go well. I don't want to crucify the young man, but Trenton Flowers in transition for a big throwdown with two hands to make it 105-82. Clippers will not foul as the Memphis Grizzlies will go on to win and improve to 2-3 in Summer League. Clippers will drop to 3-2. Summer League Championship game, the lone remaining contest in Vegas. But look, Kobe Sanders, what he did at Nevada, being able to run the show at his size at 6'7", it didn't translate to this game. He had 9 turnovers, 7 points to 9 turnovers. He was 3 of 11 shooting. He really struggled. He had 4 turnovers in the first 2 minutes and 10 seconds of the first quarter. And you could just tell the Clippers could never get into gear without having that stabilizing force with Xavier Simpson out there, who didn't play. He's 28. They wanted to give Kobe Sanders a look, running the show. A lot of it could have been nerves, but he just wasn't able to get the Clippers into their offense and initiate things. If you're just joining, welcome into Clippers Talk. I'm Adam Mosland. We've gone post-game for all 5 Summer League games. I wasn't going to stop now, even though the Clippers just lost 105-82 to Memphis. This will complete their Summer League journey. They didn't make the playoffs this time around. We'll get to Summer League grades for some of the players that we need to give grades to, some of the more consequential players on this Clippers team. We'll also hear from Lawrence Frank in his press conference regarding Bradley Beal, which spilled over into talk about CP3 and some other things. Alex Webb just said, is it October yet? Because one of the reasons I like doing these post games for Summer League, even though these games are inconsequential, very sloppy, ugly at times, a bunch of guys just coming together within a couple of weeks to try to figure it out. It's the only basketball we're going to get for the next 2.5 months. I think we got about 98 days till the regular season starts, something like that. So I'll take any ball at this point. Bonesaw said, we need more players that have black belts. What is this referencing? Cobra Kai? Why do they need more black belts? Because there's a player in the NBA named James Johnson that is a badass who last played for the Indiana Pacers, but I think he is an unrestricted free agent. Did they pick him up? Daniel said, hey, everyone, happy Sunday. Hi, Daniel. Unfortunately, Clippers didn't exactly finish Summer League on a high note, losing their last 2 games. A coincidence? The last 2 games, they didn't have Yannick, Conan, Niederhauser. Probably not. They needed his screen setting for guys to get loose. And then the final game without Xavier Simpson as well, running point. This was just a bit of a disaster. They lose 105-82 to the Memphis Grizzlies, who were 2-3 in Summer League. Clippers finished 3-2. We'll go through some of the highlights or the lowlights and what guys need to work on, and I'll give grades to everybody in Summer League here. And then we'll hear from Lawrence Frank a little bit. Let's start with Jordan Miller, who once again led them in scoring with 24 points. Coming into this ball game in Summer League, Jordan Miller was averaging 22. So he upped his scoring average, might have got to 22 and a half after this contest here. A loss for the Clippers where they weren't particularly competitive. The last game, at least, they made a run late against the Denver Nuggets. That was on Thursday night. But we can start with Jordan Miller here. Talk about this ball game and also grade out how he looked overall in this Summer League compared to his last one. So, start things off going left, of course. Before we get to that, he did get to the free throw line and hit a right wing 3-pointer. Those were his first points of the ball game. He was aggressive, then missed a far side baseline jumper. Another 3, this time the far side corner, made it 13-9. The game was still somewhat close. In the second quarter, Jordan Miller going left, automatic bucket. It's too easy for him. He was bullying guys at the rim in this ball game. He had 12 at the half. So 12 points in the first half, 12 in the second half. The thing with Jordan Miller is if this was his first or his second Summer League, it would be much more impressive. We'd be talking much more about, wow, this young player relative to the Clippers roster, this guy has a lot of potential. What could he be at the pro level? The problem is he was even better last year in Summer League, and it didn't translate to the big leagues. So now when he has 24 points, when he averages 22 and a half points in this Summer League, it's actually a step back from where he was last year. Last year in Summer League for Jordan Miller, he averaged 26 points per game. He shot 55% from the field, 60% from 3. He should have been the Summer League MVP, without a doubt. The player for Brooklyn that ended up getting it, Wilson, he beat him head-to-head. The Clippers team had a better record. He had better numbers overall. There was no reason Jordan Miller last summer shouldn't have been the Summer League MVP. You look at the numbers coming into this game tonight. 49% from 3. So drop off in field goal percentage. 49% from the field. A drop off in field goal percentage from last season. 33% from 3 coming into this ball game in this Summer League. So he's shooting almost half as well from 3 as he did last Summer League. Now tonight, it was a good showing from him. He'll increase those percentages because he was 8 for 11 and 2 of 2 from the outside to get to his 24 points. Were they that impactful because the Clippers are getting blown out? No, but he showed us more of the same. Third quarter, got to his left, pushing through defenders, bullying guys in the sandbox, as Noah Eagle would say, a bully in the sandbox. He did have a play in the third quarter where he went right and got a push shot to go. That was something I highlighted, put in all caps. If you follow along at Follow Out of May with all these Summer League threads that I've been putting up on X. Got another layup going left against some bad defense. Got a putback layup on the right side after Cam Christie forced a leaner in the fourth quarter. That was well short. And then Jordan Miller again was able to weave through traffic. Got another layup going left. Is he a lefty layup merchant with that deceleration? That little 2-step he does? It's effective at the lower levels. I don't know if it's going to work at the NBA level if he doesn't show a counter to it going right more often. He did get right on one play, and that's of note in this ball game where he went to his right. I hadn't seen much of that, if at all, in Summer League, a layup going right from Jordan Miller. But led them with those 24 points. Again, was efficient. 24 points in 27 minutes on 8 of 11 shooting. In the Clippers 105-82 loss, where they got dominated by the Memphis Grizzlies. And a lot of it was turnovers, and we'll talk more about Kobe Sanders coming up trying to run the show and how much he struggled his first summer league. So when I give out this grade for Jordan Miller in this summer league, it's relative to expectations and what he was able to do last summer league. Now, first of all, I commend him for his play because he had just gotten waived right before summer league. He's got a great head on his shoulders. He attacked summer league the right way. He came out and said, I want to show teams and the Clippers that I'm an NBA player. And he played well. He averaged over 20 points per game. Unfortunately, the threes did not fall at a high enough rate for him. You know, Lawrence Frank wanted to see him shoot 37% from the outside. He finished maybe at 34% from three on low volume. Last summer league, he was at 60%. But I don't know if there was enough there to give him, even though you'd say, what are you talking about, Adam? He averaged over 20 points per game. You could argue he's obviously their best player this summer league, just like last summer league. But his numbers were actually down in pretty much every area compared to last summer league. And considering this is his third chance now in summer league, I expected him to dominate even more and show off the three-point shooting even more. And again, I'm grading him tougher because we saw him dominate summer league and preseason and G League last year, and then he got into the NBA, got I think 12 or 15 games with the Clippers, got a real look. He had games where he played 30 minutes, and it just didn't translate. So I was hoping, he would go off and really put together a couple of 30-point games. But the problem was it's kind of a lose-lose situation for Jordan Miller at this point. Even if he has those 30-point games, you go, well, can he do it at the next level? Or is he I think Robert Flom brought this up, Big Shot Bob Flom, on the most recent 213 Hoops show. Is he a quadruple A guy? Like a guy in the minors that can dominate at that level, but just can't do it at the next level. Instead of triple A, he's somewhere between triple A and the majors, quadruple A, however you want to put that in the NBA terms. At basketball level, he is, I don't know. I think he could be an NBA player if the three-point shot is there, but it hasn't been there enough. That's his swing skill. So I'd probably give him a B for his performance. I mean, his numbers are good. He was the best player. He made it look easy at times. He looked about how he should, but it still wasn't as good as last year's summer league for him. So B minus for Jordan Miller for me. I'm rooting for him. I really hope he gets an opportunity. If it's not with the Clippers, with somewhere else, because I do think there's a chance that he is an NBA player still. It's tough. He's going to be 26 in January. So time is running out. So much pressure, though, was on him, and he definitely showed up. He didn't choke under the amount of pressure that was on him after being waived right before Summer League. He definitely didn't. He didn't show out to an all-time level that made anybody probably change their mind about him, though, either. I don't know. He could still make the team with the G League team, or maybe they move around the two ways. Right now, your guys on a two-way contract are Kobe Sanders, Trenton Flowers, and Patrick Baldwin Jr. So let's talk PBJ. He's had a really up and down summer league. He didn't play in game one, but he played the last 4 games. His first game, which was game 2 overall for the Clippers, 106-91 victory over Milwaukee a little over a week ago, he had 22 points. He went 4 of 10 from the outside. He looked really good. After that, kind of diminishing returns. Next game against the Lakers in Summer League, 10 points, 4 of 17 shooting. Next game against Denver, 7 of 13, but only 1 of 3 from the outside for 16 points. His problem is defensively. He struggles in that area. Last season, I was bringing up this number, and I knew it was there on the last show I did after their loss to Denver the other night. Patrick Baldwin Jr. shot 37% from 3 in the G League this past year in 16 games. That was good to see. 18 points per game. he was able to get up in summer league. Sorry, I just heard a commotion over here. I don't know if the cats are freaking out. Yeah, Shadow must have saw a cat outside the window and then ran to the other one really quickly. So Patrick Baldwin Jr. last year in the G League, 16 games, started 13 of them, shot 49% from the field, 37% from three, 18 points per game overall. Wanted to see what he was going to do in summer league. So coming into this ball game, he was averaging 16 points per game. In his previous three, 41% from the field, 29% from three. Against Memphis in their 105-82 loss tonight, Patrick Baldwin Jr. just 2 of 7, 0 of 5 from three, 10 points. He really struggled. So those percentages were already down. They're going even further down with him going 0 of 5 from the outside. But I'll talk about some of the specifics here and then give him a grade. Patrick Baldwin Jr., first he fouled a guy on a three-pointer, a three-point shooter, straight away on the second defensive possession. It was just he was overly aggressive, trying to close out, took one step too many, fouled the guy. Then he had a backdoor cut off a great feed from Jordan Miller. It was a nice pass from Jordan Miller. It was a nice read by Patrick Baldwin Jr. for an easy one. Misses straightaway three. Teams continued to go at him, though, on the defensive end. You could see it. And if teams are hunting you in summer league, that is not a good sign because it's not like they're game planning that much or doing a ton of scouting, but it's just plain and obvious to everybody out there that he is one of the weaker links defensively. For a guy that's 6'9", he has to play on the perimeter a lot and has in summer league, and guys have been taking him off the dribble. He missed a three really badly in the second quarter on the left wing. Had an out of control drive where I thought they were going to call an offensive foul on him. They reviewed it. They confirmed it was a blocking foul. So good on him, I guess. But the drive still looks out of control and clunky when he gets in transition. Had a bad turnover. He threw it behind Kobe Sanders and went out on the near sideline. That happened in the third quarter. And then he had an air ball, I think, on a straightaway three-pointer. Did take his man off the dribble for a layup on the right side in the second half, but just finished 2 of 7, 10 points in 25 minutes. I think I got to say, because the three-point shooting just wasn't good enough. Again, he was 0-5 in this game, and coming into this game in the previous three games, he was already at 29%. So if I look up his totals here, he ended up, 7 of 29 from three in the summer league. That is 24%. I think I got to go C to C minus for his grade. It's just the shooting has to be there. Patrick Baldwin Jr. Look, it's not a lot of attempts. It's 29. It's all going to be small sample size theater for these guys. But if I'm being fair, I think it's somewhere in that C minus range for his summer league based upon the defense, the poor three-point shooting. He had a good game initially. He was the best player, you could say, in that game against Milwaukee, but it was kind of downhill trajectory from there for Patrick Baldwin Jr. Not giving up on him. He's still, I think, 22 years of age, and he is one of their two-way guys. Yeah, he'll be 23 in November, where he was a late first-round pick by the Golden State Warriors a few years back. Clippers betting on pedigree and upside, and he was a highly sought-after high school player. All right, who else do we got here? Let's go to Kobe Sanders. This was part of the story in this ball game. Kobe Sanders is a rookie, late second-round pick by the Clippers. I like the pick. I like the swing on him because he's a big guy who can handle the rock some. Also has some mid-range game. The problem was, as I mentioned from the outset, Xavier Simpson the elder statesman, the vet, the guy who was running their offense the first 4 games of Summer League, he didn't play. They wanted to give other younger guys more of a look. Well, Kobe Sanders got point guard duties because of this, and it did not go well at all. Coming into this game, Kobe Sanders, let me see what his averages were. In the first 4 games, he was averaging 6.5 points, 45% shooting, 38% from 3, with 2 assists per game to 1.5 turnovers. Well, in this ball game, Kobe Sanders, with the ball in his hands a lot, was just 3 of 11, 1 of 6 from 3, 7 points with 9 turnovers to just 1 assist. He brought the ball up and turned it over versus the pressuring defense immediately. He lost it again on the far side baseline. Then another turnover in transition on a bad bounce pass. Another kicking it out to a 3-point shooter out of bounds on the right wing. There were 4 turnovers in just over 2 minutes to start the first quarter from Kobe Sanders. Then he had a nice play. He probed the defense, used the screen, hit a midi on the right elbow, hit a left wing 3-pointer. Second quarter, though, got his pocket picked, just trying to bring the ball into the front court. It's just, I don't know if the handle's going to be good enough at this level. It obviously could have been nerves. He got the assignment to play some point guard. Sure, he wanted it. It just didn't go well. He lost it again going left to the rim. It was a tough audition for him at the point guard position. Missed a straightaway 3, missed a scoop shot to end the half. Third quarter got rejected at the rim, but then had a really nice backdoor cut for a dunk off a beautiful feed from PBJ. Had a right-handed hammer dunk, showed off the vertical. Missed a straightaway 3, turnover on an inbounds looking for Jordan Miller. And then in the fourth, had a turnaround fall away that was an air ball. And then late in the game, before this one was over, had his 9th turnover. Just didn't go well. First Summer League, young player. I'm glad he wanted the opportunity. By young, I mean he's 23. But I don't know. I don't know if his handle's good enough after seeing this performance. Was it nerves or was it ability? Tough to say. The other part that was tough is I really liked him early in Summer League. The first game against Houston, where the Clippers won 95-92, in 14 minutes, he had 10 points, and he missed like his first 3 shots and ended up 4 of 9, 2 of 4 from the outside, and had some, I don't know, a little bit of savviness to him, some craftiness to him. He started off slow, didn't deter him, and performed well. Game 2 against Milwaukee, 18 minutes, 5 of 10, 13 points. Really liked his first couple games. But then against the Lakers, he didn't take a shot in 13 minutes. It was curious to me. And then against Denver, in 23 minutes, only took 3 shots, 1 of 3. So first 2 games was more aggressive, seemed more confident, then started to fade, and then tried to show some aggressiveness handling the rock out there running point tonight against Memphis, and it just didn't happen with 9 turnovers. So I will give him I'll give him a C for this Summer League. Maybe C to C plus. Because I did like what he showed the first 2 games, and he was in more limited minutes. Yes, you could say this was a disastrous audition for him at point guard tonight against Memphis, but I'm going to give it more time. It could have just been, him putting way too much on his plate this early, trying to run things, playing PG, point guard. Overall, I do like some of the stuff we saw from Kobe Sanders. And that backdoor cut, that was a really heady breed. I'm not putting everything into just one game here. His first couple games were very good, and he had some nice moments. So, have we gotten to Trenton Flowers yet? No, we have not. Before we get to him, John Polakidis out of Yale, the sniper out of Yale who shot 40% in his 4 years in the Ivy League, had a good tournament game last year. I was rooting for him. We were all excited. We were joking about him being the real Greek freak. And he ended up, by my count, and I'm pretty sure this is accurate, after today, going 1 of 14 from 3 in Summer League. And with his 3-point shot not being there, I know it was nerves. I know he was pressing. He was taking some bad shots. Hell, he went 0 of 6 in their first Summer League game from the outside. Almost half of his 3-pointers were taken in that first game. He just kept trying to get him up. And he was out of rhythm, out of sync, rushing things. His last Summer League game wasn't much better. In 14 minutes, 0 of 7, 0 of 3 from the outside. I mean, it just wasn't happening. The defense is rough. He has to hit threes. I believe he can. There's a decent body of work that he can. There's a very strong body of work that he can hit threes. I think the guy was a little bit sped up. John Polakidis, JP. I hope he's in their G League. I want to see him in San Diego. I want to see what he can do. Brockington didn't play much, but 2 points in this ball game, 14 minutes. Jawan Gary knocked down a 3-pointer, actually had 10 points, had that big block in the second half. I think this was the only run he got in Summer League. Jameel Telford, I thought he looked decent, actually. He hit a 3-pointer, had 7 points in 19 minutes in this game. And I want to say coming into it, he was pretty efficient. Yeah, he was shooting, 57% from the field and 60% from the outside. But he just wasn't playing many minutes in Summer League so far. So Telfort showed a little bit. I'll talk about Yannick and some of the guys that didn't play. But let's get back to some of the guys who did play in this ball game. Trenton Flowers had a layup early on, curling left. Nice, quick, explosive move at the 3:20 mark of the first. Then skied for a rebound at the 2-minute mark to clear the boards. He went up. He made I don't know if he said boardman gets paid. I think he just made more of a grunting sound. A primal, that's my ball. Missed a straightaway 3 on the other end right afterwards. Second quarter, Flowers accidentally knocked it in. This is how bad things were going for the Clippers. He went for a rebound at the 6-minute mark, and somehow it went off of his fingertips and went in, giving Memphis 2 points. That was tough to see. It kind of felt like, I don't know, Jose Canseco having the ball bounce off of his head for a home run or something. Like, it was really athletic play with the 42-inch vertical to get to it, but it went off of his hands, and it was going to be a defensive board. Therefore, that means when it went in the basket, it wasn't a putback, at least for the Clippers. It was for Memphis, unfortunately. Had a turnover in the third quarter, a really bad one, where you could just see his handle is not tight enough yet. Now, he is legitimately one of their younger players. He just turned 20 recently. Cam Christie's about to turn 20. Trenton Flowers is on a 2-way. His handle, I've been talking about it in the Summer League, for a guy that was wanting to be a point guard and then went overseas and was playing in Australia, and they took him off playing point guard position, had him play the forward position. I just don't know if his handle's good enough, what I've seen in the Summer League. It can improve. Maybe he gets there, but that's something that he's really got to work on. Then he had a play where he caught it wide open. It was a nice feed inside to him on the right block. I don't think he realized how wide open he was, but he also hesitated because he saw a big man coming over. And then by the time he got it up, he missed the layup because the big man got there. He just needed to go up strong immediately. So overall, Trenton Flowers in this summer league, in game one, he had 13 points. He had a solid game in 28 minutes against the Rockets. Game two, 15 points in 21 minutes against Milwaukee. I did think early on he hesitated on some three-pointers, and he shot 37% from three in the G League this past year, just like Patrick Baldwin Jr. did. We're talking 6 attempts per game. I don't know why he was hesitating at times, but by game three against the Lakers, he struggled 0 of 4, was a plus 22, led them in that category, and then went over the Lakers. Against Denver, 5 of 19. He got up 19 shots, but just 2 of 11 from three. And then coming into tonight, Trenton Flowers was averaging 10 points per game. He was shooting just 38% from the field and just 19% from three. And then against Memphis tonight, he's 1 of 5, 0 of 1 from the outside, 5 points because he got to the free throw line. His defense was solid. It's been solid, but he struggled. He struggled in summer league. I don't know, maybe too aggressive for his own good at times. I got to give him C to C minus for Trenton Flowers. The athleticism is there. He did work on his defense. That was clear. But three-point shooting wasn't great. And he was just out of control at times. And the handle leaves a lot to be desired. We'll end on some positives here. Don't worry about that. After a game where the Memphis Grizzlies had a 16-0 run to end the second quarter and the Clippers were just getting blitzed. Broadcasters were pointing out how the Grizzlies looked like they were playing harder. The Clippers looked tired. They had little resistance on the defensive end at times. I mean, they gave up 105 points. That was easily the most they gave up in Summer League. Maybe I should take back the defensive marks I just gave to Trenton Flowers. Wasn't good enough. I mean, I put up this picture. I didn't comment on it. I just let people look at it and interpret what Coach Lou was thinking here when he was on the phone during this ball game. Yeah, I don't know. It was a tough watch. I might have been on my phone too. Like, you just put up a picture like that and somehow it gets 110 likes. What did some of the people say? Somebody responded saying Ty Lue calling Ballmer, telling him this is why we don't play young players or young talents. I told that guy to chill. Like, there's games like this in Summer League. It is what it is. And again, they didn't have Yannick. They didn't have Xavier Simpson. And those guys kind of hold things together on the offensive end, with Yannick being the screener and Xavier Simpson being their floor general, getting them into their offense. It's tough without those two guys. And I would give Yannick, who didn't play the last couple of games here at Summer League, I'd probably give him a B, because he showed off the athleticism. And while he only had 1 point in game one, he did have 10 rebounds. I didn't think a lot of them were that difficult to grab. They weren't exactly 50-50 balls, but he had those 4 blocks. Game two, he made a little less noise, just 2 points, just 3 boards, but he had some of those plays in transition. And I said early on, like, Yannick Conan Niederhauser, he has a rare handle for a big man and looked very comfortable dribbling the basketball. And his passes were pretty crisp overall. And then it kind of came together. In his last game of Summer League here, he had 10 points, 5 of 9 shooting, a couple of steals against the Lakers, and he had that huge throwdown with the right hand in transition on Cole Swider. that was just nasty. And he had, I think, at least 4 dunks. 4 of his 5 makes were all dunks. Like he was good. So I'd give him B, solid B for his summer league. Yannick Conan Niederhauser, I would. And just, I think everybody's much more encouraged about that draft pick now. Now he didn't play because of a back injury. Kobe Brown only played game 1 and in 20 minutes had 14 points on 5 of 7 shooting, hit a mid-range shot, hit a couple of three-pointers. He looked like a man amongst boys. He was dominating as he should at the age of 25 in his 3rd summer league. Like, problem is he only played 20 minutes and then he had the ankle injury. So I got to go like incomplete. I don't inconclusive with his summer league. I can't really give him a grade. It was only 20 minutes, but he did look really good. Now, probably the guy that I was most encouraged by overall in summer league was Cam Christie. And you could see it in game 1 from Cam, where he had 21 points and his defense looked really good and he was getting downhill. And the same thing happened in game 2, another 21 points going to the basket. He was only 3 of 11 and struggled against the Lakers a little bit with 8 points. And he had 16 against Denver. And then tonight, he had 15 points, 6 of 15 shooting, 3 of 7 from the outside. And coming into tonight's ball game, he was averaging 17 points, 38% from the field, or 39% from the field coming into tonight, 30% from 3. And then, he ends up only going 3 of 7 from 3, but he makes his next 3 and he's at 50%. So when you're getting this small sample size stuff, it can go from you shooting 42% on 3 of 7 shooting to making your next one, and now you're at 50% when you're at that low of volume. So I feel like his 3-point shooting, look better overall than some of the numbers show, because it's just he's like, he makes one more and it jumps up 8%. So looking at just the 3-point shooting is tough, but it still wasn't deadly enough where it was just automatic. And granted, he's taking some tough threes, step back threes, off the bounce stuff. He's not just taking catch and shoot threes here. And maybe that's why he only shot 32% on 8 attempts per game in the summer league last year in 25 games. Where as good as his shot looks, I don't have the analytics to tell you how many of those Cam Christie 3-pointers were catch and shoot threes versus off the bounce threes or fall away step back threes. So we kind of raised an eyebrow that he only shot 32%, even though his form looks amazing in the G League. And that's probably around what he's going to end up shooting. Let me see. I can just run the numbers right here if I bring up the totals. So he was, let's see, 10, 12. He was 12 for 37 overall in summer league from 3. So yeah, that's 32%. So he shot what he did in the G League. Is some of this percentage, though, it doesn't tell you the type of 3-pointers he is taking. But nonetheless, I was really encouraged by Cam Christie. I would give him a B+ in summer league. And in this ball game, he did most of his scoring in the 4th quarter when they made a little bit of a run. He had 12 of his 15 points in the 4th. He didn't play well early. He had a bad pass to Flowers on the left wing that went out of bounds, more turnovers. The Clippers had 20 of them against Memphis tonight. He misses a jumper above the right elbow. He was a little reluctant to drive there. I thought he was going to try to take his man off the dribble, and he kind of settled for that jumper. Then he went right and high off the glass, missed it. The athleticism still to get that shot off was noted by the broadcaster, and it was put back by Jawan Gary. Gave up a layup to end the 1st quarter, and I didn't like his defense there. His man went behind the back on him. It just didn't look like he was fully locked in. Cam Christie's better than that. He was picking him up full court, and his man got all the way to the basket and he did make a fancy dribble and play to get there. But that's how the 1st quarter ended, him being scored on Cam Christie. 2nd quarter, shot a 16-footer straight away, I don't believe, went down. Then he hit a 3 where he was wide open on the left wing. Like, that's the difference. And it was net. And he was confident as soon as he let it go. You leave him wide open, I'm pretty sure his 3-point percentage on wide open threes is looking much higher. He did try to dunk it with two hands and missed it, but I like the play and the aggressiveness to just try to yam on a couple of guys underneath the basket with two hands. Like that would have been a crazy play had he gotten that to go, and I think he was just long with it. That happened in this game. Missed an open right wing three off some good ball movement. Did need to get that to go. Then he had in the fourth quarter an off the bounce right wing three that he got to go. A nice feed off a pick and roll to Telford, who eventually got the bucket off of a goaltend, but it was a really well run pick and roll with him and Cam. Hit a three after a Brockington steal, and he was wide open on the far side, got that to go. And that happened after Jawan Gary had just hit a three-pointer. And Brockington gets the steal. Cam hits a three-pointer. And it was like down to 15 or 12. The Clippers made a little bit of a run. He had a baseline fall away on the near side for his seventh and eighth points of the fourth quarter. Is where he did most of his damage. Then he had a really tough layup in transition where he showed off the handle and it was acrobatic. He was kind of in like a 180 release on the layup. Really athletic play from Cam Christie. Love seeing that. And then got rewarded and got a cherry picking easy layup right afterwards. Clippers made a defensive play and he was still hanging out back there. But he ended up with 12 of his 15 points in this ball game in the fourth quarter. So I'd give Cam Christie like a B plus in this summer league because I'm not so worried about the shot. Um, it's too pure. His form looks too good. And again, I'd be interested to see what the numbers are. I don't know if we have the analytics in the G League on what he actually shot on wide open three pointers because he's been taking some tough threes. And I think the wide open ones, that's what he's going to see more of at the NBA level. He's not going to have to create for himself as much because attention's going to be going elsewhere and the ball's going to find him wide open. I'm not worried about that. I was more concerned coming into this summer league about him and the athleticism and getting downhill and what he can do defensively. And he passed those tests with flying marks, with flying colors here. He was great in those areas here in summer league. His handle is really tight. Um, and just he's got a nose for the rim now, it looks like. And then defensively, he's picking up guys full court. His defense was good. So his threes didn't fall still at the rate I'd like to see it at in summer league, but I'm going to give him a B plus, the highest mark here. And outside of that, there's nobody else that I really need to get into. Xavier Simpson, do I really need to give him a grade? He's 28 years of age. Like he didn't play in this ball game. He's there to help the Clippers get into their offense, and you saw what happened without him. Clippers had 20 turnovers and 9 from Kobe Sanders. That was tough. Yeah, I think I'm good there. Clippers go 3-2 in summer league. Some highs, some lows, some ugly basketball, some highlight plays still. And this is all we're getting for the next 2.5 months. So I'm not complaining. Beggars cannot be choosers. You want basketball? It may come in the form of some sloppiness in summer league, but it's better than nothing. And congratulations, Jeremy Castleberry, coaching staff. I think they did a good job overall, and it made sense not to play Xavier Simpson in this game. Like, what does it matter? Give Kobe Sanders an opportunity. It's okay. Like, see what you got out there. See what he can do. And then he's got to be confident enough to shake this one off. That's okay. Like, you had a bad performance in a big spot where you got to run point. Kobe Sanders, you'll be better prepared for it next time. Clippers went out with a little bit of a whimper, you could say, in summer league, losing the last 2 games, getting run off the floor for, I don't know, let's see, 70 of the 80 minutes of the last 2 games. They only played 10-minute quarters. but they were missing some key guys at key positions. And we already knew after Thursday night they weren't making the postseason or the Final Four here. So they lose 105-82 to conclude summer league. They go 3-2. They lose tonight to Memphis. But I wanted to bring you some more from Lawrence Frank in his presser, his introductory presser, not introducing, I shouldn't say, but giving commentary and analysis and the thought process behind bringing in Bradley Beal and what he could mean to this Clippers team. There was a really good question asked by Joey Lynn, and a lot of people are assuming, as I am, that CP3 is going to be a Clipper. All the reporting and then what Lawrence Frank said regarding it, it all seems to be headed that way. Nothing's guaranteed, but there's so much smoke. Like, this is a hot box going on level of smoke at Snoop's house surrounding the possibility of CP3 reuniting with the Clippers. And I can show you the question from Law Murray. We can play that and play some of what Lawrence Frank said first about Bradley Beal and just go through this audio here.
Lawrence will have a quick opening statement, and then he'll take some questions.
Thanks, Chris. The super excited day. Feel very fortunate that Brad chose to be a Clipper. The third time is a charm. We've actually tried to trade for Brad 2 other times during the course of his career. It was a very thorough process in a short amount of time. Mark Bartelstein spoke with damn near every staff member in the organization, and maybe including Chuck the Condor himself. As you guys know, Brad is a gifted two-way player who's a 3-level scorer who can create offense for himself and others. He brings additional ball handling, playmaking, and shooting to the group, areas we wanted to upgrade. T. can use him in a variety of ways. He's elite in handoffs. He's elite in throw and go situations, which we've been looking for some more movement shooting. Plus, as you've seen over the course of his career, Brad can, very effective coming off flares, pin downs, pick and rolls on the run, catch and shoot, and playing off closeouts. So we feel very fortunate. Obviously, Brad had a number of choices, and we feel blessed that we've built an organization that's now a destination organization. I think when people think about the Clippers, not only do they think about Steve Ballmer, Intuit Dome, our market, T. our players, but they think about winning, which was really important to Brad. He wants to win. In the last 14 years, we've won the second most games in the NBA. Obviously, we haven't won championships, which is always the goal. But one of the biggest things for Brad was the opportunity to win and to win big. And we feel very fortunate that he chose to be a Clipper. So without further ado, you guys can ask all the good questions.
I know the Clippers often get mocked for not having won the championship, and they've had all this success, 14 straight winning seasons, longest current streak in the NBA. And you wonder, what does it all mean if you don't win a championship? What does it all mean? It means you're building a winning culture and players want to come play for you, players that may help push you over the top to eventually win that championship. If the Clippers didn't have this recent tradition of consistently winning and being more of a contender, especially the last 6 years, I don't know if they get somebody like that. So to say it's just inconsequential, all that matters is rings culture, is like, no, the Clippers, they are taking those steps to be a top tier, top flight, first class organization all the way around, and that is attractive to players.
I got one for you, Lawrence.
Okay. Is it a good one?
Well, that's to be determined.
Okay.
And it is me, so it's
So I know it's a high level question.
What do you like about the roster you put together and its ability to compete in the real tough Western Conference?
Yeah, well, I think what we've done is we've added more versatility within the lineups. I think T. can go a bunch of different directions. Going into the offseason, we wanted to add to not just our front court size, but also diverse skill sets that also complemented each other. We wanted to, we saw just in terms of with kind of our problems at times with taking care of the ball, we wanted to add some more secondary playmaking and ball handling. I think we've been able to do that. All this on paper. But I think going back to your question, we have the ability to play Kawhi at 3 or at 4. We have the ability to play DJ at 3 or 4. We can play John Collins at 4 and 5. We can have 48 minutes of rim protection with, Zoo and Brooke. And we can have KD as the backup point guard, KD as a starter. I mean, there's just so many different directions we can go with the group. And we said, even when I go back to kind of our, postseason press conference, we talked about just with a healthy Kawhi to start the season, we felt like we were in a better place. And now we've addressed our needs. I think we've added to our depth. We've added to our size, our athleticism, our positional versatility. So we're super, super excited about the group. As you and I are speaking, I look to my right, I'm looking at the gym, and there's James Harden working out. So I love seeing that. So it's a very, very motivated group. It's a group that understands how incredibly hard it is to win. And to your reference, the Western Conference, it's a bear, but that doesn't mean you don't keep on trying everything possible to maximize your roster to give our group the best chance possible.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't want to go through the entire 26 minutes because I've talked about a bunch of these quotes already with you guys, whether or not you get the video or just the quote. It's a little bit redundant here. We went through this on the last show in the live section. Is CP3 back? But I do want to just give you that context again, him being asked about Chris Paul, and then kind of what they're looking for when it comes to filling that last roster spot. They have 2 open, but if they're going to go into the season with 14, so they have that flexibility, because it's all about flexibility, what they're looking for. And when they bring in guys, it seems like there's a new mandate. Seems like they're more transparent and forthright about exactly what your role is going to be. So nobody is confused or has a misconception about how many minutes they're going to get. So I want to play that for you guys.
First year, he was picking up Ant Edwards full court. But I think
that's him talking about Bradley Beal and his defense, because Law Murray asked him about his statement saying he's a two-way player.
On that end in particular.
Yeah. The Rod Thorne, who was my boss in New Jersey for 10 years, was with the Washington Wizards when Brad was there. And Rod said Brad Beal is one of the best two-way players in the game when he was with him. And I know you can pick apart someone's game and you can say, hey, this is what he was in Phoenix. This is the analytics. This is the film. The way that we look at players like Brad is what they can be, not what they are. And it's no different when we looked at a guy like James, or looked at Nico, or looked at Russ, or look at Reggie Jackson. It's like we all have access to the same data. We have access to all the same games. But it's also to see what's inside a guy, what's inside his heart, what's inside his head. What does it look like in our defensive system? And so what I said is what I meant. I do think Brad's a two-way player, and because I think he's capable of doing it, and he's capable of being it. Even if you go back to their playoff series in his first year, he was picking up Ant Edwards full court. But I think with our defensive personnel and the different combinations that T. has the ability to use, I think we'll get the best out of Brad Beal on both ends.
See, this is what it's about. Challenge guys. They've said that kind of the same thing with John Collins. Orange Frank spoke about that, saying we think he'll rise to meet, I'm paraphrasing, but the standard of defense that we're playing at here. Are you capable? And Brad has shown at times in his past, Bradley Beal is capable of being a better defender than, he showed in Phoenix last year where they were 27th defensively.
Hey, L, I think you have 2 roster spots left. One which you think you have to use. What do you anticipate filling that last roster spot while holding the other one open?
Yeah. I think we'll continue to look to reinforce our playmaking and ball handling. I think those are, like I said, going into the offseason, it was about front court size, versatility, and diversity, and adding to our shooting and playmaking. I think we'll lean into the ball handling and playmaking.
So that kind of begs the question. People are already thinking, oh, playmaking, ball handling, Chris Paul, right? That's who you're talking about, right?
Lawrence, are you going to sign Bradley Beal? I mean, you signed Bradley.
Yes, we signed him. Done.
You did sign Bradley Beal. Are you going to sign Chris Paul?
The what I'd say about Chris is he's a great player. He's a great Clipper. He obviously possesses some of the qualities we just referenced about, and of course we're strongly considering him.
Seemed like he was trying to hold back, cracking a smile there. Of course, we're strongly considering.
Clipper. He obviously possesses some of the qualities we just referenced about, and of course we're strongly considering him.
So everyone believes they're getting CP3, and it's just a matter of time now, and it's inevitable. But you don't know until you do. The question could be if CP3 is willing to accept a much lesser role to come back, be in LA, play for the Clippers, have a championship, I think, type of roster at this point. They are in the hunt. They are maybe not in the tier 1 of contenders, but tier 2, and maybe they can get into tier 1. But to be on a team like that, to be home, and have your swan song with this Clippers team, are you willing to sacrifice? And Joey Lynn here asks a really interesting question that I think ties in with this. Is the only question now whether or not Chris Paul will accept the role? And how do the Clippers go about explaining what that role could be when they already obviously have 10 guys that are ready to go?
Lawrence, a lot of us saw Kawhi in Las Vegas.
Okay, it's the question after this. First, Kawhi. You know what? I'm going to jump through here. We heard from this.
Continue to stir. Able to
Look at the last time we spoke to you, I know you just mentioned CP directly, but you had mentioned wanting to add to the front court, the shooting, the playmaking. Obviously, the playmaking is the final area that you guys are still kind of looking at. At risk of this being a Ty Lue question, when you look at the current roster makeup and how you're hoping to round it out, you obviously have James and Brad as 2 guaranteed rotation guards, and then Chris and Bogey, who were also key rotation guards last season. In your mind, where do you see the fit for another potential reserve guard, given not only the names that I mentioned, but also if, let's say, like 3 guard groups were the viable answer to that question, how that could impact some of the wings that were also key members of the rotation last season?
Yeah, I think it's all about role definition. We're very direct with any player we bring on board about what their role is, and to see if their ability to accept that role and role awareness, especially in this next roster spot, will be critical. Because
so maybe the ball is in CP3's court or in his hands, where they've been very direct about what his role could be, which means you're not necessarily playing every night. Even if you're fully healthy for all 82 games, you might only play 60. That's what this could be about at this point. The waiting period. I don't know.
And role awareness, especially in this next roster spot, will be critical. Because to your point, when you look at it, is you have 10 quality rotation players right now, not to discount some of our other guys, but in terms of proven NBA rotation players, we typically play 9. And what we've seen is sometimes the problem of having too many guys and how that can impact the team. So we've learned from those lessons, and I think the conversations that we have with anyone who's going to join the Clippers next, they understand it's a reserve role. They understand kind of going into camp exactly what it looks like. So there's no preconceived misconceptions. Yet you also have a responsibility that James did play 79 games. He played the 5th most minutes. And I'll knock on wood, but the reality is for any NBA team, the amount of times you have your top 10 all available, it's usually 21 to 25 times throughout the course of a year. So you literally need everyone on your roster to be able to contribute. But to your point, because we do have a lot of versatility. So Brad Beal could, give us, more playmaking, ball handling. He will. Chris Dunn can be the backup point guard. Bogey can handle along with James. You just want to put everything on the table and then find the best person who can have total role acceptance and awareness and still, if needed to play, can play.
total role acceptance and awareness. Chris Paul is one of the most competitive players who has a ton of pride. And even though he's 40, you look at the numbers from last season, a 7-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. He was playing 28 minutes per night. He was starting. Like, that could be what this comes down to. You're going to have to do a lot of sacrificing. Everybody's going to have to sacrifice on this Clippers team to some degree outside of Kawhi and James Harden and Zoo. But if you're the next guy coming in as the 11th guy on the team, you're really going to have to sacrifice. Can CP3 do that? Is he willing to do that? Maybe it's already a done deal. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. But this could be one of the things holding it up. When I heard that answer from Lawrence Frank, it made me think, okay, so if they're being that direct about what his role would be, is he comfortable with that? Before we get out of here, I want to play one more thing from Lawrence Frank where Justin Rousseau asked him a really good question, and it's just tip of the cap to the front office. What a great job they've done.
And the complications of the second April.
Putting all our focus and making the team first.
Lawrence, I wanted to ask, if you go back a year ago and the complications of the second apron and the limitations that had for roster building going forward, and you fast forward to to now, and you look at the way that you guys have been able to retool, the roster on the margins, get all these guys in and out via trade, free agency. Was this kind of, I don't want to say the vision that you had a year ago when, the decision with PG and everything, but was this kind of the route that you thought could play out in roster building because you then got under the second apron and all these mechanisms were open for you?
Yes, I think in the sense that, like, when PG decided to go to Philly and we weren't willing to go, to a fourth year, it created all sort of optionality for us. And when you're in the second apron, to me, you have to be a Final Four team, a legit Final Four team, because you have no flexibility. And especially in our situation where we don't own our own draft for a little bit, it was going to be even more incumbent because we weren't going to get, high level young talent in here and we're always going to be competitive. We're always trying to win. So how are we going to improve the team? Well, you better lean in that group was good enough. So making the decision we made, now it opens up when you're not an apron team and the ability to make uneven trades. To your point, the ability to have your mid-level. Our focus last year was we want to get back to our core identity. Hard playing, competitive, tough, defensive minded. And so, bringing in DJJ, bringing in Chris Dunn, bringing in Nico. And that we felt like that is our true roots of the group. Now, to your point, if you're in the second apron, guess what? There is no Bogdanovich trade. There is no Brook Lopez, there is no Brad Beal, and there is no John Collins. And all those are possible because you have the flexibility because you're not an apron team. And I think to get back in the second apron, you have to be extremely, extremely confident that you're a Final Four team. And I think now we're reaping the benefits and of good fortune because Brad Beal was never a target. Like we never thought Brad Beal would be bought out. Brook Lopez, like we were overjoyed and overwhelmed to be able to get Brook. Like Brook's a starting center who 2 years ago was second in the league in defensive player of the year award. John Collins has been a target for a couple of years. So you never quite know who exactly it's going to turn into, but you have to put yourself in a position where those guys become options. And that's the same position that we're in going into next summer. It's just optionality. And we're lucky because of Steve, because of T. Lou, because of our players, because of our market, because of the Intuit Dome, because of our winning tradition, that players from other teams want to be here. And we have to be in an ability to at least have a chance to obtain them. And, I think that's just the lesson of having those competitive advantages along with the optionality and flexibility to give ourselves a chance.
Lawrence,
I don't know how people who have criticized the front office cannot understand their logic and rationale. They have been ahead of the curve with this second apron. by not giving Paul George that 4th year and getting into the second apron. If you do that, none of this stuff happens. That's the point. They didn't give in. Sometimes the best moves you make are the ones you don't. And they didn't. They didn't cave to give Paul George the $200 million and that 4th year. And they still won 50 games. They got back to a defensive mentality. And now they're building upon that with guys who can really help them on the offensive end, make them more dynamic with front court help. I just think it's been a stellar masterclass in navigating the second apron and these new CBA restrictions by Lawrence Frank, the front office.
Just to follow up on that, have you found more of a
Eric, hold on. We're actually running out of time on this Zoom, and we can blame Cooper. We love Cooper. He can't figure out how to add more time.
God damn.
So we literally have 4 more minutes. So let's make this the last question, please. Sorry.
just to follow up on that one, have you found players and agents around the league that there's more of a willingness and understanding under this restrictive kind of CBA to take more team-friendly deals and kind of work together more? Not that there wasn't before, but under these guys, it just seems like much tougher to work with nowadays.
Well, I think each year is different. This year there was only one team that had max cap space in Brooklyn, and they're in a different building cycle. Next summer will be different. There'll be significantly more teams with significant cap space.
They already know what they're up against next summer. Just because they can get to max cap space for one max player doesn't mean other teams can't. Like, they're so well positioned. They are so forward thinking and a step ahead. I love this front office, and I have for a while. You want to judge them based upon, stuff that happened when there were more salary restrictions of what they could do, and having superstars that were always asking for players to come in that maybe the front office wanted, maybe they didn't. They felt compelled to get some of these guys. Obviously, Russell Westbrook seems to be one of them. There seemed to be on a different wavelength. But since Paul George has left, it has given Lawrence Frank, I think, more of the full reins to do what he would like to do, because it opened up the flexibility to build a team how he'd like to. And if you judge him going back to last summer till now, I think he's done a pretty amazing job.
The apron system has we knew going into the PG and Kawhi negotiation that it was going to change the game, and you have to adapt and you have to make some hard decisions. And I think, it's like Boston, the decisions that they're making, they don't want to make those decisions. But because of unfortunate circumstances with Tatum, they have to. And I think you'll see the league overall, just you have to adjust. And, we were kind of the first test case, but there'll be many others along the way where you're going to have to make some tough, both flexibility decisions and also financial decisions.
So there you have it. That's what I wanted to get to here. I just really have confidence and trust in this front office, and have for a long time. I've been a fan of L. Frank for a long time. I've told him this back when we used to sit next to each other when it was called Staples or Crypto at the old place. But I think they've definitely maneuvered this new collective bargaining agreement with how punitive and how difficult it is. They've done a stellar job, and another one this summer. So I just want to show them a little bit of love here. Now, some of you won't like that because you're devoid of context with your opinions and analysis, and you don't care about some of the rationale stuff that I like to point out. And SGA just won the championship, and you're like, why did they make that move when everybody would have made that move? All right. Well, I think I'm good for now. Summer League is over. We'll see if anything changes with roster moves. If the circumstances change for Jordan Miller, I'm rooting for him, whether he comes back to the Clippers or wherever he goes. If guys on two ways, if that situation changes, currently it's Kobe Sanders, Trenton Flowers, and Patrick Baldwin Jr. But I'm excited. it's been a really good summer for these Clippers. I'm Adam Osland. You've been listening to Clippers Talk. Talk to you soon. We'll see if that 11th guy gets signed soon. If so, I'll be right back here.